Welcome back to Let's Clone. My name would be Toast, and this video is just a big fat oopsie on my part. I just sat down for an hour and I played around with this dungeon crawler, and even though the light, this little light right here, the little red boy on my microphone was on, OBS didn't recognize the mic and it didn't record anything, and I didn't do a sound test before that, so my bad. Hour of footage gone. So I'm just going to run you through the project, show you what I worked on, what I got done, in just a little recap for this devlog. Sorry. Okay, so let's actually close out some shit. I did so much. For starters, I wanted to get the environment back. So as a drip little door, that's all that looks like. Let's go into our system. So I think it's in the system, in the create event. I do have a draw data boolean now. You'll see that a bit later when we play the game. You know what? Fuck it. Let's play. No. Yeah. I'm all over the place. I'll play it. I'll show you what we did. Actually, the whole hour that I played this, I didn't hit the inventory once, so I'm gonna do that just to make sure that it still works. Boop. Aha. I don't remember how. Aha. It still says 0. But we've got our guy. He walks. One of the big changes I did towards the end, though, not really big, is I've added a dash. We actually have a state machine. So if I come here, we have a... Why are you doing that? Oh, because I opened the inventory and it changed my font shit. See, I should have opened the inventory while I was doing this, because then it wouldn't have had that. At least I think that's got to be what happened. I'm never resetting the font variables. So without opening that, you can see that I have an idle state, a walk state. Let's get to a bigger map. We've got a dash state. That door that I mentioned is now back. I haven't finished tying the map builder back into this, so you can go in and draw the map up however you want, but then you go to this room and it didn't apply. So that's why you can also walk through this shit right here. But it still exists. The dash works. I'm guessing it's because of how I'm drawing this room and I'm not updating it with what I'm doing in the main room. That's why I get this kind of ghosting effect around the player as he walks. So I'll fix that with due time. So yeah, we have the dash, we have that, we have the dungeon. I think that's all we've got done in this one. So let's look into our step event here in our Worldy Boy. No, it is in our room builder for our Worldy Boy. So in the room builder down here where we actually build the world, we're still doing all this stuff the same, but I've added add the door in the door hole. We're going to check the grid placement to check which cell is a door, and we're just going to create that instance right where it needs to be. I don't need to do anything with the depth because I think its initial depth will be low enough that the player will always walk over it, and it will never have to be toggled between in front or behind anything because it's just flat on the ground. So if I have to change that later, I will, but that would all be done in the door object. Right now the door object doesn't have, it doesn't have the collision. I think I'm handling that inside of the player, but we'll find out soon. Collapse all that. Blair Boy. In his create event, I've added a dash speed, a dash duration, as long as it's max duration, and a player direction. But then more importantly, I've created a state machine. A state machine, often used with enumerators, or at least in GameMaker. You could use integers or strings. This is just a cleaner way to do it, is I'm giving this player a list of potential states it could be in, and then inside of those states, I'm going to be running various conditions that will control what happens in that state or how it goes from one state to another. Just a basic situational state machine. I've changed our step event around. Everything's still going to be rather scripty, just for kind of fun on my part. This is not what I would suggest somebody do with having 1,000 scripts, but I'm just kind of playing around with things. I want the modular ability to rip shit out and put it into another project. But we are looking at our P state, which was defined over there. We're taking our P state. We are running through a switch statement to check which state we are in. And let's take a look at each of these. So in our idle state, local variable, checking the absolute value of any of our input conditions or input buttons. And if the sum of any of them is greater than 0, we are no longer idle. So we're going to switch over to the walking state. Inside of our walking state, we are doing that same check in reverse. We're checking if the sum of the absolute values of our input is 0, then we're going back to our idle condition. While we're in here, we have a trigger to be dashing. We are setting the player direction to whatever direction we're currently moving. Right now the direction is kind of -1 by default, and it's never changing until this happens. That'll probably change later on, but for now I only need it to update in this situation. And then we're setting our state over to our dashing state. Inside of our dashing state, we are setting our vertical and horizontal speeds to be our dashing speed in whatever direction we've determined at the switch. I had to choose I had to up this speed and floor the variable, which I probably shouldn't floor it, I should round it, because it makes my bottom left and top right speeds different by 1, but whatever. I was getting a judder as I was walking. I think it was because I was doing like a sub-pixel movement, and that's no bueno. But the duration of this is this variable, which was set to, I think, 20 for now. So for 20 frames, this will exist. It will decrement 1 by 1 every frame until it is at or less than 0, pretty much when it's at 0. In that case, we will reset it back to its maximum value. We will stop the player with the horizontal and vertical. I might throw in some friction at some point with this, I don't know. And then we will become idle again. So while dashing, say you're holding right, shift is what's mapped to my dash right now. I will dash in that direction. If I keep holding right, there is a frame in which I will be set to idle, but since the right arrow is still pressed, I'll automatically go back into my walking state. In that case, I'll just keep on walking. You might have a stutter of 1 frame, but I don't notice it. I don't think you will either. I've ripped the collision code out of my walking code. So in my walking, we had the basic movement from probably like day 1. Here we're just building the speed off of the input variables or input controls. I ripped the collision out and I put that in its own script so it can run every frame no matter what. Might not need to hear. I might just run this script in whatever states require it. I don't know. Haven't decided yet. Probably just going to keep it here because it works. But that allows me to dash and not have to worry about collisions while dashing because this collision script will take care of it. The inventory still works. The map builder doesn't yet. Yeah, it took me about an hour and I fucked up. So this video is just going to be a little sub 10-minute overview of what I got done. Feel free to pause the screen if you want to look at any of that code more closely. I probably could have zoomed in on the text, but I'm just going to fuck up as many times as I can today. Thank you so much for Thank you so much for following along. My name would be Toast. This is Let's Clone Dungeon Crawler Devlog. I don't know what I'm doing. If you have any ideas of what you think might be fun in this little game, drop them in the comments below. And if you don't like looking at rectangles and you're good at drawing shit, send me some sprites. I'll toss them in. I'll go, damn. Yeah, thank you so much. Catch you next time.